welcoming you, Gooshbagz, to Week 9 of the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. It's going to be an interesting one because I got my rival of the last few years and
Fuck
my
you, Jason.
opponent. Yeah, fuck you
Oh,
too, Rayo.
yeah, that's what I thought.
He's my opponent for Week 9 as well. This is Rayo Tata.
Hello.
So, yeah, Rayo. Oh, I put this in the show doc and I was like, you really need this win, don't you?
I do. Yeah, this is not been the best season of fantasy football I've ever had. But
Yeah,
I mean, I get this win this week. Chad's been proven to be beatable now, so we're all good.
it's true.
And we'll come through with a win, and we'll keep that rolling.
I hope so. So,
Yeah.
have you just been like less active this year, or
Well,
are you busy with other things, or?
yeah, I've been a little bit less active this year. I mean, I think I'm more active than I was last year, but I've never been particularly fantasy football active, to be
That's
completely
true.
honest. But it's we'll try and make a late season push and make it there, and then we'll be all
Yeah.
good.
No,
Yep.
you're good. I was just, until this week, you had $100,
I
all
did.
$100 of
I
your fat
did.
budget.
But
So,
Benaya scooped me last week. I
oh,
put
did
down
he?
$20. Yeah, who was it? The guy that just got suspended this week. And he was
Oh,
mad about his
Mark
27
Walton.
bucks. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mark Walton. He was mad
yeah,
about his 27 bucks. I had 20 on him, and I was like, "Oh man, Benaya, you scooped me." But we're
yeah,
all good now. So
yeah. He got suspended, and
yeah,
Benaya lost his $27. So,
that's yeah, I meant to do that. So we're all good. I
yeah.
like that. I enjoy that everyone has slightly odd numbers for their bids now. Right, because
Oh,
I put
yeah.
down $20, but this week I was like, oh, someone else might bid $20, so I'll put down
Yeah,
21.
21.
Yeah,
Exactly. You gotta always try to outthink your opponents in the waiver wire.
you think it's gonna go up to 22 next year?
It might be.
Yeah,
But no, well, speaking of big moves on the waiver wire, this was a big week for our waiver wire.
yeah,
So you finally spent money.
I did.
You added Ryan Tannehill for $21, as you
Yep,
just said, and you also grabbed Ronald Jones,
I did.
starting running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers
I did.
now.
You gotta make sure you got your running backs in order, because
Exactly.
I haven't the whole year. So this should be a good step.
Well, I was trying to help you out with that, but Ty Johnson didn't really pan out for you.
No, he did not.
No,
Yeah, it's all
I thought for sure he was going to step up a little bit more, and then John Brown has been okay, but he hasn't quite put up the numbers I thought he would so far.
it is what it is.
But yeah, and
Yep.
then Benaya also put up some big bucks this week, $41 for Carlos Hyde. How do you feel about that?
Man, $41 is a lot of money for
That is a lot
someone
of
that's
money.
had someone that's had $100 for most of the season. 41's like 1 week. Come on, Benaya.
Yeah, I
Then
know.
again, I spent 36 this week, so I can't really talk too much. But I got
That's
two
true.
players.
I guess
But
it's my problem is it's on Carlos Hyde. Like,
that's yeah, it is also Carlos Hyde.
like
So
yeah, I mean, it's a split backfield. He does get a lot of the run work, but like what makes somebody valuable, a running back, particularly valuable in like a half point PPR or full PPR is that pass catching. And Carlos Hyde really doesn't have that. Duke Johnson's been kind of taking over that role.
right.
So, I don't know.
We'll see how it pans out.
I
Well,
guess so.
Benaya just made sure that he didn't get scooped this week, so we're all good.
That's
And
true.
he
That's
got
true.
it through.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, on the big news in the NFL, so we had some injuries this week, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Jacoby Brissett got an MCL sprain. They're not quite sure what the timeline is on that, but Brian Hoyer filled in and threw for like 500. No, it wasn't 500 yards, but it was a lot of yards. He threw 50 times, but he had a pretty big day.
That's a lot of throws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Indianapolis offense really took too much of a step back from Jacoby Brissett. So we'll see how it is going forward, but I think it's more just unfortunate for Jacoby Brissett fantasy owners than anybody else.
Yeah, I think the coaching has been really good on the Colts this year with going from Andrew Luck to Jacoby Brissett. I think they'll be able to deal with another quarterback change. So
I think so. Yeah,
yeah.
they've been really good. So, or I guess better than I thought they were going to be. For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. I think they're better than most people thought they were going to be, except for Adam Vinatieri, who's missing everything now, which is very sad. It's very sad.
He's just getting old, I guess.
I guess
getting
so.
hurt.
Yep.
But so Adam Thielen also got an injury this week. He re-injured his hamstring, and he may be sidelined for a few weeks now. We're not sure when he's going to return, but re-injuring that hamstring is never a good sign, and that usually ends up being at least a few weeks missing. So that's unfortunate for him. And then Deshaun Jackson re-injured his abdomen on his game back from that injury too. And he just had surgery on it, I believe, and he's going to be out at least 6 weeks. So there was I kind of feel bad for Deshaun Jackson. He's kind of had a rough year because um, he came in and he was going to be really good with Carson Wentz and the Eagles. Like I thought that offense was going to jive really well, and then uh, he just opens up the top of the defense, which makes it a lot easier for all the rest of the wide receivers on the team, and for Carson Wentz, it gives him a lot more opportunities to throw the ball. But unfortunately, uh, he's been hurt all year, so they haven't been able to quite open up their offense like they would have been able to.
Yeah, I'll just keep Wentz for next year, and then it'll all open up, right?
There you go. He got the keepers. Yeah,
absolutely.
exactly. So, the top scorer in the league was a new top scorer this year. It was Benaya Zerline. That never hit you. I did not. He won his first week with 141.3 points. So that's a lot of fun. I was planning on getting him the Venmo today. I will do it as soon as we're done recording. I always do it right after this because that's when I remember to do it. So
it's a good weekly reminder. So
it is.
Get it done.
So moving on to the NFL studs of the week. So at the quarterback position, Russell Wilson. He had 39.2 fantasy points. He went 29 for 43 for 378 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and he rushed once for 21 yards. So got that extra 2 points there. So he's the number 2 quarterback on the year, and I've always loved Russell Wilson because he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. So sometimes you get that like low pass volume, and it's, some weeks you get that 14 or 15 point game, but then usually he's getting multiple pass touchdowns, even if he's not quite getting the yardage for you. So I don't know. That's why I really like Russell Wilson. So
Russell Wilson's having a really good year, so hopefully that continues for him. Good luck.
Oh yeah. And
Who
then,
has Russell? Who has Wilson in our league?
Benaya does. And
all right. Well, that'll help with his high score for the week.
Yeah, that's why he had the high score for the week. So, and then QB2 this week was Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo had 28.9 fantasy points. He went 28 for 37, 28 for 37 with 317 yards and 4 touchdowns. So he had a huge game against the Cardinals. So it wasn't too tough of a matchup, but he's finally. Everybody was predicting he was going to have a great game because he had some pretty good weapons around him, but especially with Emmanuel Sanders coming in. So he finally had his good game. At the running back position, Christian McCaffrey, of course, 36.1 fantasy points, 24 rushes for 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 3 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown. So, I talk about him every week.
Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? He's had a crazy year, and it's just keeping on going.
Yeah, there really isn't much more to say about that. So, Kenyon Drake, there is a lot to say about Kenyon Drake.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so he had 26.2 fantasy points, 15 rushes for 110 yards, 1 rushing touchdown. He also had 4 catches for 54 yards. So he had a huge week after being traded to Arizona. He gets his new team. He's only had 3 days to learn the game plan, and he just dominates against one of the best defenses in the league. So, it
makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference to go from. I think it makes a huge difference to go from Miami to anywhere else. So,
I was just going to say that. Yeah, Kenyon Drake. The problem with Kenyon Drake's output was not Kenyon Drake in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I've had him. I think a couple of years ago I had him while he's in Miami, and he's always been a really solid running back. And coming into this year, it's like, oh wait, what's going on? Then he moves, and it's going great again. So good for him.
Well, I mean, the problem with Kenyon Drake was that he was only getting like 10 touches a game at the most. They're always limiting him in Miami. Mm-hmm. So he finally got 15 rushes and 4 catches, so almost 20 touches in the game. And, it's definitely showing off. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't give your good running back touches if you want to get a successful tank going. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was probably what it was. That was their goal all along.
Apparently, they tanked the tank though with the win this week. What is this nonsense?
I know. What the hell was that about?
Yeah, come on now.
I don't know. I mean, The Jets are looking like the new Dolphins, man.
Yeah, no, my one of my friends was making fun of me because the Dallas lost to the Jets, right? It's like
Yeah,
how does this work? It's just the circle of suck. That's all it is this year.
I
It's
guess
just the
so.
circle of suck. Yeah.
But well, the running back number 3 for this week was Melvin Gordon. He had 24.4 fantasy points with 20 rushes for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he also had 3 catches for 29 yards. So he finally got something going this year, this week against a porous Green Bay defense. And yeah, the Green Bay defense has not been able to stop the run in any game except against Zeke, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. You guys kill us every time, and it's the worst. Aaron
Yeah.
Rodgers is a bad man. I don't like it.
he's he's Dallas's kryptonite.
Oh, absolutely.
But I threw in an honorable mention here for a guy in your team.
Yeah,
Josh
you did.
Jacobs was
You
the
did.
number 4 running back on the week. I
Yeah.
forgot what his exact point total was, but he did
I
pretty
don't.
good.
Oh, Josh Jacobs.
I have it on farther down. He had exactly 24 points. So he had
It's a
100.
nice round number.
Yeah, he had 24 or 120 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. So
Yeah.
he's been really solid ever
Yeah, he's
since.
been absolutely solid. I'm
Yeah.
really happy with that. Really happy with that pick.
Yeah.
It's come through every week. So
Yeah. Well, he's been especially good after he played the Bears. After that Bears game in London, he started to light it up.
I don't maybe his Europe trip just reinvigorated him. Yeah.
Probably he got
Yeah,
to see all the
exactly.
culture over there, and he was just, like you said, reinvigorated.
Yeah, no, he's decided he wants to retire early, so he's got to get a big contract now.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he saw places that he wanted to retire to over in London.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah. In the wide receiver position, Tyler Lockett was the number 1 wide receiver with 33.7 fantasy points. He had 13 catches, I think, yeah, on 18 targets. It's insane. For 152 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the only thing about Tyler Lockett going forward now is that Josh Gordon just got picked up by Seattle. So yeah, he may eat into everyone's production, but I think Tyler Lockett's going to be pretty safe. I think maybe the ancillary pieces like DK Metcalf or Jaron Brown, I think stepped up since Will Disley got hurt. I think they'll take a little bit more of a hit than Tyler Lockett will. I think Tyler Lockett's for sure the go-to wide receiver.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see what happens when they have another number 1 wide receiver out there, right? I mean, you got Tyler Lockett and Josh Gordon. They might open up half the field for
That's
Tyler
true.
Lockett. So
Yeah, they're both big play guys, so
absolutely,
they can both stretch the defense a little bit, and that
absolutely.
might be just what they need to turn this into a. I mean, they're already a high scoring offense, but maybe a Super Bowl contender. So, Mike Evans was the number 2 wide receiver on the week this week. He had 30 points, 30 fantasy points with 12 catches for 180 yards and 1 touchdown. So he's definitely been going off the last few weeks. He's finally proving that he's still that number 1 in Tampa Bay. Everyone was concerned. Everyone thought Chris Godwin was taking over as the wide receiver 1, but I think Mike Evans is finally showing his true colors here. I was talking to Courts last week, and I don't know if you watched it or listened to it, but yeah, basically he had 2 bad weeks at the beginning of the year where he was sick. He had like the stomach flu or something, and then he had 1 week in the middle where he goosed when Chris Godwin went off, and other than that, he's been crazy.
Yeah, he's always been a solid wide receiver out there. I think I had him last year, either this league or the other league, and it's every week. I mean, he comes in, gets the job done.
Sometimes it's frustrating. I think he before this year he was almost like the boomer bust sort of guy.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I guess he's kind of done that this year. He's had 3 down games, but yeah, for the most part he's been boom.
Yeah, I mean, 3 down games out of 9 doesn't kill me. So,
right, that's pretty good. So
yeah.
And then wide receiver 3 is another Seahawk, DK Metcalf. He had 24 fantasy points with 6 catches for 123 yards and a touchdown, and he also had a 2-point conversion. So I think it was just a really good day overall for the Seahawks. So that really helped out. Russell Wilson was throwing the ball. What was it, 43 times? So that's quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, as you asked earlier, is Josh Gordon going to eat into his stuff?
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I have Tyler Lockett in my other league, and
Yeah.
every time there's a pass for the Seahawks, I'm like, is that Lockett? No, it's Metcalf. It's Metcalf. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll keep passing underneath to Metcalf, and Josh Gordon won't get too much production, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Potentially.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how he's going to fit into the offense because he was, I guess he hasn't really been fantasy relevant too much since 2013 almost. Like there's been a lot of hype around him and like, oh, Josh Gordon's coming back from his suspension. Josh Gordon's getting off IR. Josh Gordon's done with his personal problems, but like, everybody's hyped up because he was so good in 2013, but that was 6 years ago. So so who knows if he actually is still that solid wide receiver.
He's in Washington now. I mean, he can smoke all the weed he wants, right? So
That's true.
it's all legal. He'll get a nice doctor's note. He can give the doctor's note to Roger Goodell, and what's he gonna do? I mean, come on.
After the first of the year, he could join the Bears, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, maybe he'll just jump around to legal states now. We'll see how that goes.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So moving on to the tight end position, we had Zach Ertz as the tight end one, finally having a good week. He had 20.8 fantasy points with 9 catches and 103 yards and a touchdown. Man, he's had a rough year this year in general, so it's good to kind of see him get back up on the horse. When I was talking last week, he was getting the yardages and the targets that he had in previous years, but he hadn't gotten those touchdowns. So he finally got his touchdown this week, and along with it, he got 103 yards, which definitely helps. So, but yeah, maybe the second half of the year, Zach Ertz will kind of finally be that solid tight end that you drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round. So
yeah.
And then tight end 2 on the week was Noah Fant, previously known as Noah Cant. He had 19 fantasy points with 3 catches for 115 yards and a touchdown. And the only reason that he is on this list is because he had one play that was 75-yard touchdown catch. And he looked really good, but he really hasn't gotten that sort of volume every week. And that kind of makes him a volatile fantasy asset. So I don't know I don't think anybody picked him up this week, but he hasn't really had too many solid weeks so far, despite all of the hype that he had in the offseason. But moving on to the duds category. In the quarterback position, I hate to say this because I love the guy.
Sad.
Gardner Minshew had 7.8 fantasy points. He had 309 passing yards, so that's pretty good. But he had 2 interceptions, and he had 4 rushes for 34 yards. So I thought this was going to be a huge game for Gardner Minshew because Houston's D is they've been awful against the quarterback. But for some reason, the Stash had a tough time against a normally bad Houston's defense.
Maybe Gardner Minshew's getting too reasonable. He did something to his mustache, guaranteed.
He might have. That might be the problem.
That. Yeah. You can't touch that.
I don't know. I'm growing it out now. I'm doing the No Shave November, so
absolutely.
Yeah,
started
maybe
on November 1st.
Yep. I am trimming a little bit. I'm trimming underneath the neck and whatnot, but I'm growing out the beard for all of November. So
yeah, I feel like if you don't do any trimming, you start looking like a homeless man real fast.
Yeah,
so,
I definitely do. So
I do the same thing.
Yeah, starting like week 2, it starts to look really rough. But dud number 2 in the quarterback position was Jacoby Brissett. Unfortunately, that was the only other one that had a particularly bad game for somebody this week. Was that you? Did you play him?
No, I didn't have Jacoby Brissett this week. Who was I playing this week?
Who did you play? I mean, you played against me, but
yeah. Carson Wentz. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Who had him? I don't know who had him, but oh yeah, Neil played him this week.
Yeah, that'll hurt.
Yeah, he got hurt early in the week or early in the game, and so he only got 59 passing yards and 2.8 points. So
it is what it is. I mean, as we were talking about earlier, we'll see what the Colts do without him, but hopefully they
keep rolling. Exactly. So on the running back position, LaShawn McCoy was kind of a bust this week. He only had 1.4 fantasy points. This apparently was Damian Williams' day, so he took over the backfield this week. I really don't know what to think about the Chiefs' backfield at this point because yeah, it's basically a toss-up.
Yeah.
LaShawn McCoy has been the reliable one,
Hmm.
but Damian Williams, I think he just had one really long run for a touchdown this week, and that was kind of why he has inflated numbers. I think he only had like 12 rushes or something, but um, so I don't know if they're gonna go back to LaShawn McCoy next week or if they're gonna try to ride Damian Williams, but it's kind
Kansas
of a
City has
toss-up.
been Kansas City has been running back by committee. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It seems to be a toss up every week.
Yeah, which is really interesting because previously Andy Reid would only have a bell cow running back. Like if you think about it, he used to coach LaShawn McCoy way back
Right.
when.
Yep.
And then who else was in Kansas City? Um well, the end of last year it was just Damian Williams
Right.
the whole
Yep.
time. And then he had Kareem Hunt before that.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's true.
so like he's always been a bell cow running back in under Andy Reid, but
Well, I mean, Andy Reid's got talented running backs to work with, so I figure I assume he figures why
why
not
pick one?
have him share, right? I mean,
Yeah,
less
exactly.
likelihood for injury.
Yeah,
He doesn't Andy Reid doesn't care about fantasy points, so
exactly. No, yeah, he cares about winning football games.
exactly.
So,
Yep.
and this one hurts my heart, but Aaron Jones was the next bust. He had 3.4 fantasy points. He only had 8 rushes for 30 yards and one catch for -1 yards. So,
Nice.
it was it was just an awful day for the Packers offense in general, and you can't really take too much away from it. They just couldn't get it together against the Chargers. So at the wide receiver position, we had Juju putting up a dud this week. He had 3.1 fantasy points. He only had 3 catches for 16 yards, and it seemed like every single play went to Jalen Samuels in this game. He had 13 catches, I think, in this game. And yeah, so Mason Rudolph was only looking at Jalen Samuels. Essentially, that's all he's been doing ever since he's been in. He's been just dinking dunking,
Hmm.
all over the place. But and then the unfortunate Adam Thielen injury. He got hurt early on, so he goosed this week. And then Stefan Diggs, interestingly enough, with Adam Thielen out, he didn't go nuts. He only had 2.1 points. He had one catch for 4 yards. And Kirk Cousins kind of spread the ball around. I think there were a bunch of different targets in this game. It was close to 10, and nobody really had over 60 yards. So it was just kind of an even game. uh, Running and passing, it was kind of split pretty evenly. So, uh, and then at the tight end position, Cameron Brate, which I was surprised he was started, but he goosed this week. I think Neil used Cameron Brate as well, um, and he was not used at all in this game against the Seahawks. I don't know what his snap percentages were, but he didn't get any catches, so that's really all that matters in fantasy football.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then Mark Andrews only had 3.1 fantasy points. And that was a rough game for the Baltimore.
For
Yeah,
Mark Andrews, yeah.
yeah, for the Baltimore receiving core, it wasn't
Yes.
too good.
Yep.
Lamar Jackson and the running backs did pretty well, but
Yeah, and man, Boyle, their what second, third string tight end
yeah,
went off.
yeah,
That was a crazy game.
yeah, that was insane. I was so
Yeah.
good to see New England lose and to
Yeah.
see New
Yeah.
England's New England's defense only put up 3 points.
It was yeah.
That was the
It
best
was
part of the week.
Yeah, well, New England, they've just only played bad teams, so now they're gonna lose out. That's what I'm gonna say here.
Oh, you're
Uh,
gonna lose out.
no,
Is this the beginning of the end for the New
so,
England Patriots?
this is the end of the Patriots dynasty and the beginning of the Dolphins dynasty. Come on
Ryo,
now.
yeah, that's right. You called
Yeah,
your shot. This is it.
yeah, this is it.
New England is losing out, and Miami is winning out from now on. Put it on the board.
It's done.
This is recorded, so
Yeah.
everybody knows.
Hey man, you got to make your hot takes. I mean,
It's
they
true.
the ESPN guys get paid millions of dollars a year to do it, so I got to do it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right. So on to the matchup reactions from this last week. So matchup number one, my favorite matchup of the week
It's my least favorite matchup of the week.
It was your least favorite. You were
Well, yeah, because I
involved.
lost.
It was Team Carry On My Wayward Son versus the Scary Terrys. Ooh. It was truly a scary weekend for Carry On My Wayward Son.
Wasn't good.
The Scary Terrys eked one out at the end of Monday Night Football with a touchdown to Michael Gallup in the fourth quarter.
Ah,
So that, or in the near the end of the third quarter, I think. So that felt
Yep.
really good.
Yeah, my dad was really confused because Dallas scores a touchdown, and I'm sitting there. No, why him?
Anybody but Gallup.
Yeah, it was. I was unhappy. I was like, oh come on, did he step out of bounds? Did he step out? But it is what it is. Yeah.
Well, I guess I was gonna ask you, how did you feel like? I know now it's kind of tainted because the games are over, but how did you feel going into this week? Like, did you have some confidence going in? Like, you think you were gonna win this one, or?
I mean, it was you, so I have a tendency to beat Jason in games.
You're right.
But I didn't think it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be close the whole time. I didn't feel like I was necessarily gonna win.
Yeah.
But
right.
I'll win next time around. We'll get this done.
So my main question about this specific week was, did you trade me Cooper Kupp because his bye week was this week?
No, I did
not. I was going to play against you.
If I thought that hard, then I wish I thought that hard about that trade.
If you had thought that hard, you would have asked for more.
Yes, that's an accurate statement. That's an accurate statement.
But yeah, so the studs on Carry On My Wayward Son. Josh Jacobs we talked about him. He had 24 fantasy points. He had a great game. DeAndre Hopkins had a pretty solid game. He had 8 catches. Those 8 catches really helped him out this week for 48 yards. Did he have a touchdown as well? I think he did.
The math doesn't add up if he didn't have a touchdown. So yeah, I think so.
I think I forgot to put that he had a touchdown in here. So
yeah, that would make sense.
I was like, 8 for 48 does not sound like 15.4 fantasy points.
8 for 48 is like 7 fantasy points.
Yeah, so I think he had that touchdown in there too. So so he's been solid ever since his dry spell at the beginning of the year.
I mean, he's DeAndre Hopkins. He's going to be solid.
He's going to get his. He has over a 20% target share.
Absolutely.
He's always been a target hog in that offense. So, and then the duds for you this week. Unfortunately, Ty Johnson. I thought he was gonna do better this week because was it McKissick?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, McKissick was out.
Exactly. Yeah. So did I. But that didn't work out. So he may be replaced in my lineup. Ty Johnson. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if you're watching this. But
well, now you have Ronald Jones, so you have a much better starter to put in that position.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know. I guess I thought we were gonna get a little bit more out of him for Carry On, but it didn't quite work out. And then Alshon Jeffrey only had 4 catches for 36 yards. Not the greatest day for the wide receivers in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That was kind of rough. And like I said, their whole passing offense has kind of been meh the whole year just because they don't have Deshaun Jackson stretching defenses. So makes it difficult.
Yep.
So the stud singular for Scary Terry's was George Kittle. He had 16.9 fantasy points. He had 6 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. So he's been consistent, and it's really good to have that consistency at the tight end position.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to pull together tight ends this whole year. I had OJ. I thought I was solid with OJ Howard at the beginning of the year. That didn't turn out, and then I grabbed TJ Hawkinson for like $40.
Yeah, you went for that one. I think I had put down something on TJ Hawkinson because I didn't expect him to go for too much for being a rookie with 1 week. But then you just went for it, and I was like,
I put in for like $27, I think, but still, that was way too much. It was a swing and a miss for sure on the tight end position.
Really, I think these $27 bids aren't going well. You with Hawkinson, Benaya with the suspension this week. We'll see. We'll see if we get a good $27 bid this year.
Well, even higher than 27 haven't turned out. Like Will Fuller.
Yeah.
The $51 bid or 50 was it 51? God, that was insane.
Not a Patrick Mahomes $50 bid, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but oh well. And then in the duds category, seemingly every week, Keenan Allen is in my duds category. He had 3 catches for 40 yards, and it's been a rough life for Keenan Allen ever since I traded for him. So it's probably my fault.
Definitely your fault.
Yeah, but he's been getting the target share, but they just haven't been turning into catches. I think he's been getting like close to 10 targets a week, but they're not turning into catches or yardage or touchdowns. So it sucks. Otherwise, everybody else from my team had kind of like 10-point games ish. So there weren't really any other duds. There weren't any studs. It was just kind of an average floor week for my team. So not too shabby. It pulled out the win. That's all I really needed.
Hey, we'll be back
So
for you. Don't worry, Jason.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
all right. So my question for you now is, how do you feel about your team going forward? I know you're in a rough spot, but
I feel like with a couple of pickups, I'll be okay. We'll see what happens
yeah,
this week, and
I hope that
once
I hope that Ronald Jones
yeah,
pans
yep,
out for you
yep.
because it's been a rough time
Hmm.
for you so far. But I
Hey
think
man,
Ronald Jones got all that volume this week, and I think that they're going to keep
absolutely.
going to him.
Yep,
He actually looked explosive. So
yep. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that how that turns out. If Tannehill keeps getting 19, 20 point games, I'll be happy with
yeah,
that too. So
you're
yeah,
you're
no, I was looking down there to pick him up, and it's like, all right, well, the last 3 weeks he hasn't been below 19 points.
you're right.
So I mean, we'll see how that turns out as well.
If you can get a floor of 19 from Ryan Tannehill for the rest of the year,
Hell yeah, that's amazing.
I don't know. I don't know what I would do because
It'll be
that's
great.
that's insane. That's crazy.
It'll be
Um,
great.
but good for him. He's been
Yep,
doing much better here than he was in Miami,
absolutely.
so that's good. All right, Matt, we're gonna move on to the next matchup. Matchup number two was Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn versus Try and Stop Me from Auto Picking. So Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn won 127.4 to 72.2. Despite New England looking like an average or even below average defense, Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn had Christian McCaffrey and Mike Evans to go off to give him the win over Team Auto Pick this week. So I'm going to switch it up here. I'm going to Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn first. His studs, obviously, Christian McCaffrey is a machine almost every week.
Insane.
Um, and Mike Evans. So we talked about both of his studs.
Yep.
In the duds category, he had Tevin Coleman with only 4.6 fantasy points. Now this I was very sad about because I had Tevin Coleman in another league, and I started him with extreme confidence because they were against Arizona, and man, it really didn't work out in Tevin Coleman's favor this week. It was Matt Breida's game, and they're definitely in a full timeshare similar to Denver's,
Hmm.
whereas either one could go off each week.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Yep.
yeah, so it's kind of a lottery ticket every week. It's kind of a 50-50 sort of deal. But
Hmm.
the biggest stud of the week I'm so excited about was New
It's a
England's
great dud.
defense.
It's a
It's
wonderful dud.
so good. Only
It's such a great statement to make.
only 3 fantasy points. Suck it, Courts. Suck
Yeah,
it,
it's
New England's
it's,
D.
it's, it's a good day.
Even though
It's a
you
good day.
still won.
Hey man,
But
that's okay.
yeah,
He didn't get the high score for the week, so
exactly.
take
Yeah,
take what you can get.
that is good. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was great. And I
happy
hope
duds.
going forward they have a little bit of a tougher schedule. So I
Hey,
think New
they're
England's
losing out. I said it.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right. So
Yep.
New England's defense is definitely gonna. I would, if I were you, Courts, I would drop New England's defense because
One
they're
hundred percent.
they're gonna do awful.
Yep.
Um, so the studs from Try and Stop Me from Auto Picking. Well, just one stud, Emmanuel Sanders. He had 20.7 fantasy points, and he is looking
Hmm.
fantastic with his new
Hmm.
team, the 49ers. So I'm sure he's glad to get out of that awful quarterback situation in Denver and make his
Absolutely.
way over to Jimmy Jimmy I was trying to think of a cool nickname, I couldn't. So Jimmy Garoppolo. Uh
You can just abbreviate to Jimmy G, and then it's all
Jimmy
good.
G Spot. Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Oh,
No.
I didn't say that.
But the duds at Team Auto Pick was basically everybody else. That was a rough game. He only scored 72 fantasy points, and 20 of them were Emmanuel Sanders. So uh,
Hey man,
that kind
Emmanuel
of tells
Sanders
you.
can carry a team.
That's true. It kind of
Yeah.
tells you the story of the rest of the team. So
Yeah.
moving on to matchup number 3, Zerline, I never hit you. I did not. Versus my tight end hurts when I fart. I hate that name, but I love it at the same time. So Benaya put up the highest score of the week at 141.3 points, and Aaron's team put up 111.4 points. So
Aaron's team.
Aaron's team.
All right.
I didn't want to say the whole team name again.
Okay. All right.
So
Fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Zerline, I never hit you, had huge games from his quarterback and running backs to get a much needed win over my
Yeah.
tight end hurts when I fart. That's just ridiculous.
It is. It's great.
It
That was
is.
really well done.
Yeah. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So, like I said, well, and Dallas's D. I wrote that tagline before Monday's game. So I wrote this like on Monday evening before the game ended. So I had no idea if Dallas's D was going to be good or bad by the end of the game.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, Dallas's D came through.
They
They came
absolutely
through
did.
this week. They
Yep.
had I forgot I didn't put in. They had like 19 fantasy points, I think.
It was a good game for Dallas's D.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it means anything because it's the Giants, but it was a good game. It was a good night. I
Hey,
was I was happy at least.
the
So
Giants have made some defenses look a little silly. They
yeah,
put
that's
up
true.
some big games, so
Danny
it,
Dimes.
it's true. It's good that Dallas's defense was able to kind of get pressure on Danny Dimes and kind of
Yeah, absolutely.
shut down their offense.
Absolutely.
And Russell Wilson had his big game, 39.2 fantasy points, and Derrick Henry had a good game this week. He had 23.4 fantasy points, and he had 2 total touchdowns, and one of them was a receiving touchdown. So he's getting his work in the passing game, which is something that he's never done before. So he's having new experiences all over the place in this year. So. And then in the duds category, we had Juju and Danny Amendola had 4.4 fantasy points. I don't know really what you're expecting from Danny Amendola. I don't know if that's much of a dud week anyway, but I guess he has had a good couple games this year, so definitely worth a flex, but not a high floor flex. So you're gonna get those games from Danny Amendola every once in a while. Now on to team tight end Ertz when I farts studs. Deshaun Watson had 19.7 fantasy points. That's just an okay
Mhm.
game, I guess, for Deshaun Watson. You're looking for something a little bit more out of him, maybe like over 30 points or something. And then Tyler Lockett was on his team with 33.7 fantasy points. So at least he had the number one wide
Mhm.
receiver on the week.
Yep.
And then his dud was Adam Thielen with the unfortunate re-injury to his hamstring. So now matchup number 4, Mixon Mack versus the running Mayfields. The running Mayfields took down Mixon Mack 109.2 to 75 or 78.5. The running Mayfields got his much needed win over an underperforming Mixon Mack. The studs I'll go on the winning team. So the running Mayfields, I know I'm switching it up on you, but I know. Uh, Matt Stafford had 24.8, and he has been great the last few weeks. I'm so jealous that he got picked up by Brandon because he would have been a great streamer instead of Josh Allen, who I ended up grabbing. But yeah, Matt Stafford has been a solid
Mhm.
quarterback this year. And then the duds on the running Mayfields are Stephon Diggs and Mark Andrews, who we talked about both of
Yep.
those guys. So on to Mixon Mack, the studs on Mixon Mack. Marvin Jones, which I'm surprised got started in this game. He had 22.6 fantasy points. I would not have the balls to start Marvin Jones in basically any week. I don't know. I know he has his monster games every once in a while, but I
You
just
know,
don't trust him.
if Neil's been starting him before this week.
Yeah, he started him
All right.
in his 4 touchdown game.
Oh
So
yeah, that's a good point. Well, I
yeah,
mean, the thing is, once someone gets you a 4 touchdown game, it's really
yeah,
hard to put him on your bench.
yeah. You can't put him on the bench with that upside, but
Yeah.
it's tough. I don't. He's like a Will Fuller to me. You know,
Hmm.
uh, kind of that boomer bust. But the duds on his
Makes
team,
sense.
we talked about both of these guys, Jacoby Brissett and Cameron Brate. So,
Right.
just not the greatest team overall from greatest week overall from Mix and Mac. Only 78 points. So, we had a few rough weeks from multiple teams this week. So, just not the biggest fantasy day, I don't think. And then matchup number 5. Big Ben's Bathroom versus Rogers Cup. Unfortunately, Big Ben's Bathroom didn't put up a stinker this week, and they won 104.5 to 77.4. And I was really hoping that Rogers Cup's, he is a monster team. Adam has a really good team, but they just didn't perform this week. So Big Ben's Bathroom takes down a sickly-looking Saquon and Zeke to continue his dominance in the league, if only because nobody can score points on him. That's how it is every week. I don't think
a W is a W, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Saquon and Zeke didn't really have that bad at games. They were like 12 and 13 fantasy points, but
with those guys, you expect more.
Yeah,
need more out of them, really.
Exactly. So the studs on Big Ben's Bathroom, Kenny Galladay, which seems to be almost an every week thing, putting up 21.2 fantasy points. And then Zach Ertz had 20.8 fantasy points. So he finally got a good game out of Zach Ertz. And, Kenny Galladay has been, I think he's single digits. He's like a wide receiver 1 this year. I think he's like wide receiver 7 or something overall.
I mean, he was looking good last year, and that's just continued into this year. So
yeah, last year was his breakout second half of the season. So
absolutely.
And then Rogers Cup studs. Only one stud this week. He had Tyreek Hill scoring 23.
You're welcome, Adam.
That trade, 23.5 fantasy. You've been helping all sorts of teams this year.
Hey man, that the first trade was a good trade.
You're right. It was for Cooper Kupp, and then you traded Cooper Kupp away.
Yeah.
So. And then the duds on Team Rogers Cup was Deshaun Jackson, who only had his 1 point because he got re-injured, and then Allen Robinson only had 1.1 fantasy points. So, and then the San Francisco defense, which was, I only put this on here because I thought it was a huge surprise that Arizona, put up a pretty big game against them, and they only had 2 fantasy points this week. So, San Francisco's D. So, on to my favorite segment of the week. I love this segment, and
it's a really good segment.
I'm sure you heard last week why it's my favorite segment, but it's the waiver wire team that would kick all of our asses. So if you had just picked up these guys,
if only.
Rayo, how come this isn't your team?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I really should have just spent all my $100 on these guys, and I would have been all good. Yeah.
To be honest, last week, like before any of these guys went off, you could have gotten this team for like $10.
Yeah, man. I really.
You could have gotten it for free, actually.
For $0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the quarterback of this team that would kick all of our asses was Jimmy G. He had 28.9 fantasy points. The running back 1 on this team, Ronald Jones, who is now on your team.
Uh-huh. Yes,
he had 15.2 fantasy points. The running back 2 was J.D. McKissick. Oh, I lied. J.D. McKissick did play this week. How come you didn't correct me? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, how dare I?
He had 14.7 fantasy points. The wide receiver 1 for this waiver wire team was Preston Williams of the Miami Dolphins. 21.7 fantasy points.
They're tanking the tank.
You're right. I don't know what's going on. They're actually they put in Ryan Fitzpatrick. That was the problem.
They don't know what's going on. That's the issue here.
If they wanted to keep losing games, they wouldn't have put in the best quarterback in the league.
His name has magic in it. I mean,
it does.
How are you supposed to? Yeah.
Exactly. All right, the wide receiver 2 on this waiver wire team is Mohamed Sanu, who I am now the proud owner of.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I dislike the Patriots, I'm happy to see Mohamed Sanu having a good time
right.
there. So
He's always been like the 3rd or 4th option on a team. So getting onto a team and being the 2nd option, I think, is going to be huge for him.
And I mean, he's a really good wide receiver too. So
yeah. So he had 19.1 fantasy points this week. So he had a great game. Fortunately, he's on bye this week, so I can't play him. But oh well. The tight end on this team would be Noah Fant. He had 19 points. The flex would be Jamison Crowder with 18.3 points, all on probably 100 targets and 20 yards. That's just how Jamison Crowder does things. The defense special teams was the Steelers, who had 19 fantasy points, and then Michael Badgley, the Money Badger, had 15 fantasy points this week. So
did you pick up the Money Badger?
I think I did.
All right.
I I put in a bid for him. I don't know if I won him.
How much was your bid?
I don't remember.
$52.
$52. I don't have that much money left. No, I still have Matt Prater, so I
Okay,
didn't.
all right,
I
all
didn't
right.
grab him. Did somebody grab him though? I think somebody did.
If you don't have them, then someone did.
I'm sure somebody did. Let's look it up. Let us see. Add players. I do not have permission to view this page. What?
All right, where are we? Auction summary. Nope, that only gives us those and players. All.
I got logged out on my computer. I don't know
Oh,
what.
that's. I'm trying to get there. All right, who? Oh no, what? Why? ESPN's just being dumb. That's what I'm blaming this on.
Dude, yeah, you should definitely blame them.
Yep,
ESPN's
absolutely.
a bunch of chodes.
How dare they have any computer issues? What is this nonsense?
They're not allowed to.
Yeah, come on now. All right, where is he? Where's he?
He might not. He might have gotten.
Yeah, no, I put all in there rather than available. So I don't know.
He's on Team Auto Pick.
All right, James, not auto picking your kicker.
No, he's
So
not.
it's daring.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I think the only reason that he probably wasn't on that list because this week was his first week.
Oh, so he's probably all the way at the bottom, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yep. So that was the team that would have kicked all of our asses, and we definitely would have lost. So 170.9 fantasy points. So
I'm gonna have to deal with some technical issues. My headphones just died.
okay.
So, actually, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. This is still fine.
Okay. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah, your audio's the same. So.
All right. Perfect.
All right. So we only have a few minutes left, so we're good to go.
Right.
On to the matchup predictions for this week. So this is where I just guess who's going to win this week.
Right. Yeah. As you should.
Exactly. So last week I was 3 for 5, so not too bad. Over 500. It's definitely been worse through this year, so I'm glad to be back above 500. So matchup number
for 5 weeks.
No 0 for 5 weeks.
Okay.
My worst was 1 for 5, so I have not yet done 0 for 5, thankfully.
All right.
Hopefully we'll keep it that way.
Let's hope so.
So matchup number 1, the Scary Terrys versus my tight end hurts when I fart. And my projected winner is the Scary Terrys. Deshaun Watson's on a bye, and Cooper Kupp comes back from his bye. So I think my tight end hurts when I fart is going down.
Have you ever bet against yourself?
No, I always bet for myself.
That's the correct way to do this.
Yes.
I was just wondering.
I've been approximately 500 on myself because I'm 5-4. So
yeah, that'll help.
Do you have the matchups pulled up?
For this week?
Yeah. Pull them bad boys up.
Where's the button? Come on. Why is there no button here? You stupid thing.
Because I'm gonna ask you what you think.
Yeah, you're gonna ask me what I think?
Yes.
All right.
I'm gonna ask for your predictions as well.
That's a concern. I'm just gonna get this up on my phone because then I can look and don't have to get searching on the computer.
I'm also gonna write yours down. Last week I didn't write Quartz's down.
Oh, you're gonna write mine down?
I'm gonna write yours down so I can. Yeah, we're going against each other.
I mean, as always.
Yes.
All right. So what? Oh no.
So the Scary Terrors versus my tight end hurts when I fart.
All right. Well, I think you're gonna lose because I'm just cheering against you, but just this week.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it could only be 1 week at a time. I couldn't just consistently cheer against you. That would be.
Oh yeah, no, just 1 week.
No, I couldn't let that happen.
So I have you down as my tight end hurts when I fart.
Of course.
Yep. All right. Matchup number 2. Running Mayfields versus Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn. So in this one, I have Brandon Cooks Kittlecorn, of course, because nobody can stop him.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with that projection.
Yeah, I just can't bet against him.
Yeah.
This week, and he's got really good weeks, or really good matchups all around. He has Mike Williams playing Oakland. He has Mike Evans playing Arizona. He has McCaffrey against Green Bay. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that is gonna be awful.
Yeah, he's
That's gonna
looking
be
like he's gonna have some fun.
yeah, that's gonna be like a 50-point game from Christian McCaffrey. So
50
um,
point games are crazy. We'll see if he gets one. That'll be fun.
if it's against anybody, it would be against the Packers.
That
So
would make sense.
yeah, I mean Melvin Gordon had a good game against the Packers this week. So and he has done nothing all year.
Good luck, Green Bay.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
All right, so matchup number 3, try and stop me from auto picking versus Rogers Cup. I have projected Rogers Cup because the buys from Philadelphia and Jacksonville will make it a very tough week for team auto pick.
Yeah, that'll make things tough for James here.
Yeah. But he ended up dropping a lot of people. So I made this on Monday before waivers went through.
Oh man, you want to change your predictions?
And he dropped a lot of people, but I'm still not changing my predictions because there's a Saquon against the Jets, and I think Zeke can do well against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Allen Robinson is in a potential shootout situation against Detroit. So
you're so right. Adam does have a really good team.
I know, and he has Tyreek Hill.
I can't bet against Adam.
Yeah.
Though you remember James does have the Money Badger, so
he does have the Money Badger. The Money Badger's probably going to put up at least 20 points this week.
Yeah,
so
easy.
Yeah, but I think despite that, Rogers Cup is going to win this one.
Yeah, I can't bet against that.
Yeah. All right, matchup number 4. Mix and Mac versus Zerline. I never hit you. I did not. My projected winner is Zerline. I never hit you. I think they're going to continue their dominance this week with Julio Jones back from his bye. Mm-hmm. And he has really good matchups for his running backs. He has Derrick Henry and against Kansas City, who has had a very porous run defense. And Melvin Gordon against Oakland, a newly revived Melvin Gordon against, I think, a not so difficult Oakland defense.
That's the fair prediction. I kind of like Mix and Mac in this one actually. Yeah. He's got someone going against Miami, which is a plus to begin with.
True.
With Mac himself.
Marlon Mack, yeah.
And then he's got Kamara against Atlanta. I haven't watched too much Atlanta, but I don't know how their defense is looking this year. I've never been confident in their defense. So
I don't know how good their running defense is. I know their passing defense is atrocious. So
just purely looking at running backs, and Lamar Jackson can always go off. And Lamar Jackson's going against Cincinnati, man.
Yeah, actually, I didn't look at this well enough because he has Lamar Jackson against Cincinnati. He has Chris Godwin against Arizona. Devontae Adams, might have a tough time against Carolina. We'll see about that. But Cameron Brate, I don't know if he's actually going to start Cameron Brate. But Marvin Jones against Chicago might actually be a surprisingly good play.
We'll see what happens. Well, I'm going to take Mix and Mac in this one.
There you go. We got to have something different somewhere. So
yeah, I mean, I got to beat you. So
yeah, you can't lose. You can't lose to me unless you have a different pick. So
that's very true. Yeah.
All right, matchup number 5. Your matchup.
Yes,
Carry
it is.
on my wayward son.
I will be choosing myself. Okay. I have to.
All right. Well, I have picked Big Ben's bathroom against you.
I saw that. That is a fair choice to make.
Yeah. So I think, this was really tough because both of you had a lot of players on bye.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he put 4 guys on his bench with a bye.
Yep.
And you also had 3. So including DeAndre Hopkins. So this one was actually very tough to pick out because I wasn't quite sure, but he has Michael Thomas and Aaron Jones and Lev Bell. Bell's against the Giants.
Yeah, that's certainly a fair pick. But I mean, I'm not going to pick against myself.
That's true.
And again, I mean, you just saw Zeke last week with 12, 13 points.
You're right.
And I mean, Bell's maybe a better running back, but I mean,
yeah,
they didn't look
Well,
too bad. So
yeah, I think Bell gets most of his work on just catches though,
true.
whereas Zeke is more the power runner. He does get a lot
That
of
is.
receptions, but
Yeah.
what I do think is good though is that Josh Jacobs is against the Chargers, which they had a good game this week, but the Chargers defense has been really bad against the run
All right.
overall this year. So
Well,
that's a
we'll
pretty
see.
good matchup. Yeah.
Should
And
be fun.
have you seen anything about Evan Ingram?
I have not seen him anything about Evan Ingram.
Because
Oh, he's out.
he's been ruled out now.
Yes, he
Yeah.
has.
I knew there was a possibility, so you have to look into getting yourself a replacement at the tight end position
That
here
I
this week.
will.
So, despite that, I still have Big Ben's bathroom winning this week.
That is
Although
fair.
Ronald Jones, he might go off against Arizona, man. So
Should
it'll
be
be
fun.
close. It should be a good week. Hopefully, you can put
Absolutely.
up a little bit more points than everybody else has been against Big Ben's bathroom. So
That's the plan.
yeah, I think Big Ben going against Big Ben's bathroom has been like getting the Madden cover curse.
That's I think that might be a bit extreme, but yeah, I can see it.
I think people have been averaging like 80 fantasy
Ooh.
points a week against
I
Big
mean,
Ben's bathroom.
he lost once. Has the Madden curse ever not happened?
No, you're right.
There you go.
But it wasn't a very high scoring week when he did lose, so
True.
I don't know.
Well, yep.
But all right, so you don't have this section on your show
I
doc.
do not.
I'm surprising you with all these questions, and I am
Yes,
surprised because we have 6 questions.
that's a lot of
It's
questions.
a whole lot of questions. I'm getting way more fan mail than I've ever gotten in my life.
Man, that's
So
exciting.
I know. So
Yeah.
the first one is the one you know,
Hmm.
from Chad. Who
Yeah.
is the biggest fantasy surprise so far, you think? This year. I would say this year.
Yeah, I mean, this year, obviously, I mean, if we're going back to last year, I think we're just it's Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
But this year, I mean, fantasy surprise. I don't think there's been too many surprises this year.
Yeah.
Uh, it's been 100% the year of the backup quarterbacks,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
which has been interesting. I picked up Minshew in my other league, who
Yeah.
had one good week and had a dud this week. But
Right.
we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's really where we are. I don't think there's anything too crazy that's happened in terms of waivers this
Yeah.
year.
There have been a lot of it is surprising you, like you said, there's been a lot of backup quarterbacks. Like I think a lot of
Mhm.
after it kind of started last year with Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick
Right.
bringing in somebody to, like, halfway through a game and benching
Mhm.
somebody for somebody else, and that was kind of when it started. But due to them being bad, because I think prior to that, I don't think I've ever seen
Yeah,
that.
that didn't really happen. I mean, the fans might be chanting the backup's name, but that
Yeah.
usually didn't happen. But
Right. Yeah. So this year, I think it's happened to like four or five teams. So,
mhm.
um, but I think personally, I think that the biggest fantasy surprise this year was either Cortland Sutton
That's fair.
or DJ Chark.
Yeah, actually, yeah, those are some good options there.
Yeah.
I can't argue with either of them.
Yeah. Because DJ Chark went undrafted.
Yeah,
Nobody thought of him because Nick Foles was always throwing to DD Westbrook. So DD
right.
Westbrook was kind of the big, uh, who we thought was going to be the big wide receiver in Jacksonville, and then DJ Chark kind of came out of nowhere after week 1 or 2
Yep.
when Nick Foles went out. So,
Yeah.
and then Cortland Sutton kind of started taking over in Denver as well. So
Yep.
those
Yep.
were the two that I thought were the biggest fantasy surprises for me. All right, on to a question from Benaya. Actually, we got 2 questions from Benaya.
Well,
One,
Benai's being really involved.
he is. Well,
Uh-huh.
he wants to know what your new team name is going to be because you don't have Carry On your team anymore.
Oh,
So,
geez, I didn't even think about that. But I'm gonna have to think of a song name because I enjoy you singing my team name.
whatever you choose, I will try to play it up as much as possible.
All right, sounds good. I'll try and not pull an Adam and not change my name when the player goes away. But yeah, we'll see. I'll come up with something.
All
Uh,
right.
I'll have to go through and really think about this one because
Yeah, you'll have to take a look at your teams.
now there's pressure on it. So
I can I can I give you a one option?
oh, you can make a suggestion. Let me get a sticky
Yes.
note up so I can put it somewhere.
Oh, this one will be easy to remember.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Josh Jacobs, Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Yeah, that'll that's not
If
bad.
it's it might be too long for ESPN's naming, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
So
That's a good suggestion.
that's
That
it's
will
just it's an option.
it's a
I could
good option.
totally play that up. I could sing that for hours if you wanted
Oh,
me to.
jeez.
Yeah.
You don't need to sing it for hours. I don't think anyone wants that. I don't think you want that. I don't think Christina wants that. More importantly,
I could put it on repeat and put a 10-hour video of me singing Josh Jacobs Jingleheimer Schmidt.
your YouTube channel is gonna go viral with that.
It should. That's
Yeah,
for sure. All
absolutely.
right. The other question from Benaya is how does it feel to have Ronald Jones II starting running back of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
It feels good. Really, I'd like people that have kind of a generational feel to them. You know,
Yeah,
with a Ronald Jones the second,
second.
it
Yes.
really makes a difference.
Not Junior, the second.
Yeah, the second. I mean,
Yes.
that's like royalty stuff there. You know,
It is.
different. So
Yeah.
hopefully he'll end up as a good pickup for me.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to my 20 or to my $15 on him to pay off. So
There you
yeah,
go. Yeah. I
good.
think I think he'll be good. Whenever he's gotten the majority of the workload, he's put up some good fantasy points.
Yep.
I was looking back, he had a few good weeks at the beginning of the year too. When he had week 1 he had 13
Mm-hmm.
carries and he had 75 yards. Week 3 he had 14 carries for 80 yards, and week 4 he had 19 carries for 70 yards and a touchdown. So he's been putting up some solid yardages when he's
Yep.
actually gotten the ball more than 10 times.
Yeah.
So
So looking
I
forward to
think
that.
I
Looking
think he'll
forward
be
to that.
good.
Absolutely.
So I have a couple of questions from Courts here.
Okay. Well, we're getting like multiple questions from people. I like
I
this.
know this
Uh-huh.
is good.
Yeah.
So Court's first question is, what is your worst fantasy transaction of all time?
Oh man, my worst fantasy transaction of all time.
Yeah, I'll give you some time to think about it. Mine is TJ Hawkinson. Buying TJ Hawkinson for $27 was a pretty bad fantasy transaction. I'm trying to think of another time where something didn't pan out in like a trade or um, I don't know. I was trying to think. Well, the Keenan Allen trade really
Right.
didn't help me out this year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, ever since I've gotten him, he hasn't scored more than 10 fantasy points. So,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking for wide receiver 1 numbers from him. So
Yep.
that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
Um, but the other way, he had Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams got hurt immediately after I traded him. So
So really just a
it
bad
kind
trade for everyone all
it
around.
kind of evened out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I this we'll see if anything else pans out, but this trade of ours really isn't looking great for me right now.
That's what I
Uh,
thought was gonna be
yeah.
yours.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I've never even over the last couple of years, I've never been a huge fantasy transaction guy. My trades usually I feel pretty good about, so
Yeah.
uh, that's probably where we're gonna end up with that for that question.
Yeah. I feel really good about my team going forward.
You should. Good team.
Yeah. I mean, I was 4-4 going into this week, and I was like,
Mhm.
man, I really need to win this week, and I pulled it out. And now that Cooper Cup is back from a bye,
Yep.
I think I'll definitely, I hopefully will be a contender this year. That's what I've been looking for ever since this whole thing has started. So
Good luck.
yeah.
I aim to spoil your playoff hopes in last week.
That would be awful.
That would
That
be
would
wonderful.
that would be the worst.
That would be
My
amazing.
rival spoiling my fantasy chances in the very last week of the
That
regular
would, that would
season.
be absolutely amazing.
I might have to go in and change the schedules
No,
around.
no, 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 no. We've hyped up this matchup too much now.
I know.
Yeah.
All right. So question number 2 from Courts is your favorite meal cooked by Yo Mama.
Mm.
It was specifically Yo Mama. So
is this specifically your mama?
no, I think
Okay.
I was just pointing out the wordage
The
was
wordage is good.
was not your mom. It was Yo
Oh, no,
Mama.
it's your mama. Yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I would expect nothing less.
So your favorite home cooked meal
Yeah.
from your mother?
Well, my mom makes a lot of good food. Um, it's hard to choose. I think I'm gonna have to go with my mom's stir fry. It is really delicious,
There you go.
and I enjoy it every time I eat it.
What
So
goes into the stir fry?
a lot of some vegetables, some soy sauce, some cornstarch stuff for the sauce.
Yeah. You throw a
Usually,
little curry in there?
no, I don't think so. I don't
No?
think so. I usually just eat it and don't really pay attention to what mom's doing too much.
Yeah.
Uh, but it always ends up really good.
Yeah.
So,
You know what was interesting? I had some I went to Granite City
oh
and
yeah.
they had this new mac and cheese appetizer slash like small plate
Hmm.
that it was mac and cheese, but then they threw a little bit of curry on top of it.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it was fucking delicious.
I'm sure it was.
It was so good. And I've never been much of a curry guy, but
Yeah.
like, man, that was
That
fantastic.
sounds like a really good addition.
Yeah,
But I mean, to be fair, mac and cheese goes really well with
a
everything.
lot of things.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So I think my favorite meal cooked by my mama is that was weird to say. Um, my favorite meal is her lasagna.
Oh, it's good.
She makes a really good lasagna. We got a special recipe, home cooked recipe from the family, so
Okay.
that's definitely my favorite.
Are we allowed to inquire about the special recipe at all, or is it a secret?
Yeah, I mean, really, there's nothing too fancy in it. We use instead of ricotta, we use cottage cheese.
Same. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, and you know what I just thought about? Well, I didn't just think about it, but you know what's crazy is that you could totally make uh like a poor man's lasagna by just making like Chef Boyardee and throwing some cottage cheese in there.
You could. You know, I wonder. Thinking about lasagna, I really enjoy lasagna as well.
Yeah.
My dad makes a delicious lasagna, which I can make now too. But I wonder if you just took all the like lasagna stuff and just made it with like pasta instead of lasagna,
Yeah.
whether it'd probably still be really good.
Well, that's just called like baked pasta or like baked
Oh,
ziti.
that's a good point, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all the same ingredients just in a
Yeah,
different form.
that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean it's still just as fucking delicious. So
Delicious.
I
Yeah.
can't blame you for thinking about something like that.
Uh-huh.
So
I might have to do that now.
oh yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
really easy. It's like
Yeah.
you don't even have to necessarily if you have enough sauce in there, you don't even
Yeah.
necessarily have to cook the pasta even before you throw it in. Like you can put uncooked pasta in there
Hmm.
and make it all up. It'll be cooked in the oven. So
Mm.
that's the good stuff, man.
Yeah.
All right, one last question from Adam Stovall.
Ah,
So
yes.
Adam said he heard that I have a Dallas fan on the show this week.
He does. You do.
So he's wondering how real are the Dallas Cowboys and how real are the Green Bay Packers this year?
Well, I mean, I can never say that the Dallas Cowboys are real until we're in the playoffs, and even
Or
then, I don't say we're
or
real
in the
until
Super
we win
Bowl, I
games.
would say.
Yeah, it's. I mean, the thing is with the Cowboys is I think I think I don't want to jinx this. I really feel bad about saying this. I think we can make the playoff because the NFC East is not great this year.
Yeah.
I'm concerned because as always we've never been a particularly consistent team. So like I don't know if if we actually suck against good teams
Yeah.
or if we're just sucking those weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see as the season goes on. I don't think our schedule is as easy down the stretch,
Yeah.
but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, we make the playoffs, and that's really what matters, right? Is
Oh
because
yeah.
that's what you're going for.
Then it's
Uh,
one week at a time.
yeah, absolutely. It's one week at a time. So cross my fingers. I'm really happy about Kellen Moore this year compared to the old offensive coordinators we've
Yeah.
had. Been at least a little bit of extra fun stuff going on.
Yeah.
Uh, so that's good. Defense is coming together, even with Van Der Esch injured. Still having Sean Lee there. He's a lot slower than he used to be, but he's still a veteran, he's a really smart guy, and really enjoy him. So
Yeah.
hopefully the talent comes together because we do have talent. I mean,
Yeah.
you got two really good wide receivers in Gallup and Cup, or not
Yeah.
Gallup, Cup, Gallup and
Cooper.
Cooper.
Yeah.
And you got Elliott in the backfield, and Pollard looks solid whenever he's in there
Oh
too.
yeah.
Line is good, so hopefully we've got the talent there. Let's put it together and make the playoffs, and let's
For
beat
sure.
the Packers in the playoffs this year.
I hope not.
Ah,
But no, yeah, I think that was the big thing coming out the first few games was Dallas was looking really good on offense with the new OC and like, but they did have a pretty easy schedule out the gate. So but their offense did look a lot better for the most part this year, and they've been stringing together some wins. So hopefully, I think they can pull it out and definitely make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
So as far as Green Bay goes, I think they're pretty real. Although their defense looked a lot better. It's the same thing as like the Cowboys. It was like their defense looked a lot better the first 3 weeks of the year. Maybe it was because they just played shitty offenses, but but they have been. Sure, people have been scoring on them, but they've also been able to get pressure, and they've been able to stop those drives inside the red zone. So that's been the big thing that the Packers have done. So they give up a lot of yardages, a lot of yardage and whatnot. So the only reason the Chargers, I mean, they put a beat down on the Packers, but they got like 5 field goals and like 1 touchdown. So I'm not super concerned with this last week. I think they just kind of had I don't know, the game plan didn't quite work out for them, or something looked just off about the Packers offense this week. And I think that as Devontae Adams gets more healthy, I don't think he was 100% in this game. And the Packers kind of click with him getting back into the lineup. I think it'll be much better. So,
all right.
Yeah, I think they're going to the Super Bowl this year.
That's
my take.
That's a bold take. You will not find me making that take about the Cowboys at any point in my life until they're there.
Until they're there, like they win the NFC Championship, and you're like, I think they're gonna make it to the Super Bowl this year.
This is a good year so far, really. I mean.
Right. So I think the biggest challenge for the Packers to get to the Super Bowl will probably be the 49ers and maybe the Saints. As well, the Saints have looked really good. So those would be the
NFC's been really strong this year. They're a bunch of teams that look really solid. So I mean, between the 49ers and the Seahawks, you're gonna get both of those guys in the playoffs this year, I think, and those will both be hard games, especially if the Seahawks get home games. Those will be really hard games.
Yeah.
Packers looking decent. Why are the Bears so bad, man?
It's been great. It's been fantastic.
There was so much hope. So the thing with me, right? Since I'm a Dallas fan in Chicago, I've always been kind of like a sort of halfway Bears and Packers fan because I have a lot of friends that are both of them. Right. And it's like, man, it's so frustrating. It's like it's such a good defense, and then you just can't put anything else together.
Yeah, I was saying last week that like I have a few guys at work who like are Bears fans, like, and they were like so stoked going into this year with Mitch Trubisky taking a step up and like everybody looking better, and the offense is going to be great and the defense was going to be locked down. And, like nobody was going to beat the Bears this year, and that didn't quite turn out. So
I guess we'll see when it comes to playoff time. The AFC West is obviously super strong, NFC West is obviously super strong, but
we'll see how it goes. It should be a good time for sure. But
absolutely.
Well, hey, Rayo, thanks so much for coming on to the show this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
For sure. I've had a great time, and I'm looking forward every week that I play you. So
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm rooting against you next week, but just next week.
But just next week? All right.
So, and good luck to everybody this week except for Rayo. All you Gooshbagz, good luck and goodbye.
Have a good one.